Alright, so how to profit from indie comics with a little to no investment cost. So I made another video that showcases how much money you need to spend to create a professional grade indie comic and how many books you need to sell in order to break even or even double your investment. In this video, I'm going to showcase sort of the low ball. So in that video, I showcase that it kind of costs around $20,000, and you have to sell around 50,000 issues in order to break even on a professional grade comic on average. So in this video, I'm going to showcase like how can you profit from comics without having to spend that much, or without having to sell that many comics, because clearly people do it. So what are the steps you need to take? So that's what this video is. So if that sounds interesting, stick around. I'm Lord Max. I'm a best-selling comic creator, an indie film producer, and the owner of Hove and Crow Entertainment. Alright, let's just jump right in. So the first thing you're going to have to do is obvious. You're going to have to eliminate some expenses. So based on like my last video, for this kind of exercise, we're going to pretend you're making a 4-issue series, which is about an 88 to 100 page graphic novel, or a 4-issue series that's like a limited series that could become ongoing. That's about 22 pages per issue. So if a professional grade creative team is normally about 200 or more per page, how can you go about things without having to spend that much money? The most obvious one is you do everything yourself. So if you are a writer and artist or have any artistic ability whatsoever, you should take that and you're golden, because that is the scenario you want to be in, to where you don't have any cost. The only cost is your time and expertise. However, if you're not an artist, you're going to have to take lessons or something, or take a strange avant-garde approach where you're like using construction paper and trying to I don't even know, like use markers on paper and stick figures or something like that, and do something strange to where it stands out in some kind of way. Like South Park or something. You know, that's not really that realistic. I'm just like giving you out of the box kind of ideas. That's not the usual route people take. That's why I'm suggesting it. Maybe it could work for you. I don't know. You may know how to draw something strange. You can only draw detailed faces. You can't draw hands or bodies. So you draw, faces and then stick figure bodies. I don't know. Anyway, the next one. So if you just truly are not an artist at all, and you can't even fake it, you're going to have to hire somebody. But you can eliminate probably 40 to 50% of your costs if you only hire someone to do the black and white inks, and you just don't have it colored, or you try to color it yourself, and you don't hire a letterer and you try to letter it yourself. And that's a bit easier to learn on your own than it is to try to learn how to draw from scratch. And that you see people try to take this method a lot. The thing is that is hard to do. It's going to be obviously not professional. People are going to notice. And your kind of only route is you kind of eliminate yourself from comic shops doing that. First of all, just not having color eliminates you from a lot of publishers in the first place, unless your black and white artwork is just stunning, and just clearly professional grade. And it's kind of like with movies, to where if we can tell if you're trying to use the lack of color and lettering because you're skimping on quality or something like that, as opposed to using black and white for an artistic, like trying to push a style that you're going for. Like, we can tell the difference, to where it's like it's black and white, but not because I'm skimping, because I have a specific way I want to tell this noir story or something in a peculiar way. Point being, you could sort of be skimping on your stuff, to where, like, in order to make a professional grade black and white comic, you might be overspending on the artist to work in black and white, which is just counterproductive of the whole thing we're trying to do. And so whenever you take the route of trying to do the coloring and lettering yourself, just bear in mind that you're probably going to limit yourself to going to Kickstarter or self-publishing. Excuse me. Or if you're, it's a different scenario if you're trying to release a manga that is only black and white, and you speak multiple languages or whatever. And if that's a scenario, you're ahead of the game, and you can go specifically for that market, and you're saving in doing so. Anyway, so on to the next. The next thing you want to do, if you don't want to do that, is basically find artists that can do everything, but they're fresh to the game. They're new. They're technically amateurs, but they're high quality. Someone that can pass, that could get you in the door to where people are like, that is quality work, but they technically, since they're so new to the game, they'll work for lower than professional salary. This is where you'll find people on Fiverr, other websites like that. You can even go to every other kind of Upwork. There's artist sites. You can, even if someone's not on a site where they're actively saying I'm work for hire or do commissions, you would try to find someone on DeviantArt or other sites like that, Instagram of course, and actually reach out to those people and send them DMs and say, hey, are you willing to try something out for me? Even people that have never done sequential art before sometimes would be willing to, if they aren't a professional. If you'll find somebody in high school that's just hardcore. The other thing is, like, you'll find a lot of professional artists that work in other countries where the cost of living is a lot lower. So for them, a professional rate is less American dollars for us. So someone that has a professional rate that would be $100 plus for us, it might be willing to work for 60 to 70 American dollars just because their cost of living is so much lower. However, there's so many pros across the world. A lot of them are still going to want the US dollar rate, unless once again you find like a diamond in the rough it's not there. They do it almost as a hobby, or they're still new to the game, still in high school or college, and they're just trying to get a resume out there, and they're willing to work for less, which leads to the next thing, which is the key thing is you can't get any high quality artwork unless you have a high quality script and you have some kind of credibility to your name, even if that's just being nice or something. If you're truly at zero, you'll need to have something to showcase. So that kind of leads to my next point. Sorry, I had a hiccup in the middle of this, but getting back to it. So the next thing I was going to go into, aside from kind of professionalism, then I'm going to get into that as we go into this next part of it. So there is an option if you have no money at all, and but you have an amazing script. That is collaborate and split the profits. And by this I mean you find an artist who's willing to complete the book for no upfront costs from you, the writer. And then once the book is released, you both split the profits. But honestly, when taking this approach, it's best to give the artist a bigger share. Because in the world of business, there's a common understanding, which is that there's no such thing as a 50-50 split. Somebody is always taking on more risk or doing most of the work, or both. And in this case, that person is the artist, because they're taking the most risk, basically working for free and doing the most work. That is because they're under the time pressure. You may have spent 10 years writing this perfect script, but you had 10 years to do it. And when you're working with an artist, often you're giving them a time frame. Even if you tell them you have all the time in the world, there's still an underlying pressure, because you're basically, from your own perspective, you're going to want to give them a timeline in some sense. Even if it's 3 years to do something that only takes a year to do, that's just something that takes time out of their day, and it's pressure on their mind, and you guys know that you're not going to be receiving anything out of this until it's finished. Essentially, it's something that's just a waste of time until it's done. So you're going to both, even subconsciously, want to get it done. Anyway, point being, regardless of how great your script is, the artist is going to probably spend 6 to 12 months drawing your series without any pay. and you're going to want to give them at least 60% of the creator revenue. Um, and whenever you pitch the artist, you're going to have to pitch them like they're an investor, because they're investing their time, which is their money. And you'll need to have solid stats proving the comic will earn something at the end of it after printing costs, and make this worth both your time in the long run. Another point being, just take it seriously, and treat the artist as if they are an investor for your film, because in the long run it takes just as much time, and you can often make just as much in return as you would if you were producing a feature film. And in order to build the trust of an artist, you will need to have some kind of track record. That's, a good way to do that is to have a web comic, and that is something that can be drawn yourself or in black and white. You'll need to have experience working with other artists, experience with marketing, some kind of relationship with a publisher probably, and if not, some kind of relationship with some other someone else that's worked in the industry. You're not going to want to start from complete zero if you're asking someone to work for free for a long period of time on a large project. That's case, as they say, case closed. No, they say full stop. That's what I'm going for. Sorry, goodness gracious. The other route you can take is the opposite direction, which instead of spending nothing is spending a lot more than usual. Or more specifically, spending strategically. Strategically finding ways to adjust your budget to invest in methods that will give you more readers and more sales. The best way to do this is to find a famous or a celebrity or just a known writer to co-write with you. Even if you have a full script, find someone that can take another approach. Co-write with you. Someone who already has a large audience, who acts like a movie star to draw eyes to your series. And if you can't find another co-writer, then you're going to need to find a known artist to actually draw your book. Excuse me. And that's equally as hard to find a well-known writer without some kind of a track record. But that is often the way to get more readers and sales, is you're basically finding yourself a star. And basically, in order to actually do that, you'll need either A, a lot of credibility, or B, a lot of money, and you're going to need a killer script in order to get them on board, because their time, when you're working with someone that's at a high level, often their time is worth a lot. So even if you offer them enough money to fill that time, they could be taking someone else's project that might be better than yours, and then wasting time on your project, even if it pays. So you need both money and a quality and credibility in order to get someone who has enough star power in order to bring up the sales on your series as an unknown creator. And how you get that, like I was saying, is basically you buy it and you sort of have some kind of low-cost credibility to your name, whether that's a webcomic or whatnot. You'll find that this is essentially the route I've taken on my series. Is I've basically tried to build credibility online with webcomics, and then I tried to find really high-quality artists. If they couldn't do the interiors, I found them to do my covers. And with names like that and such powerful work that they have, it just naturally draws eyeballs to my series, which brings in more sales than usual. And here's the key. You're probably like, all this time and money just to make an investment break even? Like, if I can somehow convince celebrities to work with me, or do everything myself, or convince a brilliant writer artist to work for free, and I have to write just a killer script to begin with, yes. Or you can just write something that's not of high quality, release at low quality, and make low quality returns, which can sometimes, you can break even when you're going that low. And there's plenty of readers out there. It's the same with movies. You can find there's my movie's probably in that category. It's just it's low grade from the get go, and your audience, that's what they like. They know it's not great, but that's what they're into, and they can watch them for free on these free websites, and they don't care about ads and all that stuff. If you want to go that route, I'll make a whole nother video on basically going kind of the low budget round with low budget returns. But the cool part about all this is that you can sell once your series is released, however good it is or not, it's yours, it's your IP, and you own it forever. And even if you don't make your money back right away, you can always try different methods in the future. And even if you release it, you get a publisher and it doesn't, just launch super high from the get-go and you just never make enough back, that's just your launch. You still have other years where you can go and try to build an audience years later over time. And there's cons, there's horror conventions, there's local bookshops, there's art festivals, media festivals. You can sell things online and target ads. There's all kinds of ways to sell your IP without the need to have some kind of killer crushing launch. And you can even hire people that are salesmen that just go to Mardi Gras or something where there's just 1 million people there and they just hustle things on the streets and you just split the commissions. There's all kinds of routes you can take. You can sell merchandise based on your characters, t-shirts, stickers, toys. It's not always just about the books. And of course you can always try to hustle it into the movie scene and try to get it turned into a movie and whatnot. But just that's the cool thing about this is once it's yours forever, and it's like a business. So treat it like a business, and just know that you don't have to just have one chance to rule them all. You have your whole life to try to build up a whole arsenal, and sometimes George R.R. Martin, I don't even think was truly discovered hardcore like he is now until he had already been in the game for 30 years or something like that. So just stick with it and you'll get there. Thanks, bye.